Hey everyone, welcome to another week of Conversations with Carly, which is on YouTube, as you're probably watching this, or you can catch it on my podcast, Conversations with Carly, on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon as well. And it is just the audio version of this if you're out and about and want to have a quick listen, on the go. I always listen to mine, and I actually do listen to my own. Of a confession in the car and to other fabulous podcasts as well. I just find it easy. It's just a good way to get loads of valuable information in. Anyway, I'm excited for this one. This week, I'm chatting to Amy Crumpton and Chris Fawcett from Social Cactus Coaching, and they're coaching. They are high energy. They are just all about the magnetic high energy vibe, and that's what I wanted to chat to you about today, as well as they have quite the jet setting lifestyle, which I think is quite, exciting as well. I want to just you know what, it's just gonna be one of those conversations where it could go in any direction, and it's the first time on this podcast that I've interviewed two at once. This could be interesting. Let's give it a go, and I'm going to welcome them in and say hello. So let's do this. Let's go across to. We are actually going all the way across the world to Dubai, and I just can't wait. Let's bring them in. Here we go. The power of technology. Will this work? It will indeed. Hello. How are
Hello.
you?
We are
Very, very well.
fantastic, thank you.
Amazing. I was just saying there, we are going all the way across to Dubai, and will this work? The power of technology, but it has, and we are here.
We're
Amazing.
here.
We are here reporting live.
Yes, it's like that, isn't it? I feel like it's a bit of a news broadcast that we're going across to Ashley's key questions, but with the way of the world, we won't do that. Not us at all.
I was just saying that to Chris. It's like, we're going to be on the news.
Yeah. Well, do you know what? And this is it. I mean, how is Dubai at the minute with everything going on? Is that is it as affected? If anybody's watching in the future, we're talking about a bit of a Ukraine-Russia conflict going on, but how is it over there? Has it been affected? Not too
No,
much.
life is just going along as normal. You'd have no idea there were anything happening in the world. There's no pandemic talk here. Like, you have to wear masks. But other than that, you don't really hear about that. You don't hear about anything really. But we don't watch the news, so we don't really pay attention to what's going on.
Is that like top tip number one?
Top tip number one.
Yeah, maybe not necessarily avoiding it, but we don't put ourselves out there to watch it. The most I see is it's on in the gym sometimes when somebody forgets to turn it off. But yeah, there's literally no mention of it. UAE decided to just stay out of it completely.
Wow.
For certain reasons, don't know what they are. But yeah, they're not bothered. I know that doesn't sound good, but they're not.
Yeah, it's like, keep me out of it. I'm fine.
I don't think it's a bad thing, actually. I think, and this is what this is where it links into what we're going to be talking about soon today. I was just introducing there about you're both so high vibe. I love it. It's high energy, and you probably that's probably one of the tips actually we might get to about turning off the news sometimes. But we'll kind of chat about this. But I want to chat first of all, but just a bit about your journey, especially yourself, Amy. It started with you. Chris came on board, and I've loved watching it unfold. So I follow you on social media, love seeing it, and let's talk a bit about that journey from maybe your point of view first, Amy, then Chris, and let's have a chat.
So back in 2017, the business started out as a social media and marketing business, so very different to what it is now. And I was actually in Peru at the time when I decided to start up the business. And the reason why Social Cactus is called Social Cactus is because I actually did a plant healing medicine ceremony. And it's a little bit, you go on a bit of a journey, shall we say, with this plant medicine. And I had this download to start my own business because I was doing some freelance work on the side, but I never really thought that was a business. And then, I had this download during this ceremony, and I thought, why not? Like, why not just give it a go? Like, what have I got to lose? We're traveling, we're on the road, and if it doesn't work out, that's fine. At least I tried. At least I give it a go. But pleased to say it worked out really, really well. So when we got back to the UK, started to land a few clients, but I was not charging anywhere near enough for the services that I was offering. So it turned out that I'd gone from having a 9-to-5 job to then creating a 24/7 job where I was always available. I was taking on way too many clients, but not charging enough. And I got very overwhelmed, and I just wasn't charging enough. And what that meant was I wasn't making the money that I needed to survive ultimately. And the main reason why I started the business in the first place was I didn't want to go back to an office job, if I carried on the way that I was going, that would have had to happen. So things needed to change. So anyway, I realized that actually I loved helping people with the social media strategy and coaching them through that. And this is how the coaching journey started to develop. I started coaching people on social media, but it never is just about the social media. There's all these mindset blocks that come up for people, like afraid to be visible or fear of judgment or not feeling good enough, all the things. And then that led me into becoming an NLP certified coach. And then from there, the business exploded. It was incredible, but quite quickly I was fully booked, which isn't a bad thing. It's amazing to be fully booked, but we had all these inquiries coming through and I couldn't service all these people because we had too many leads. And Chris was already coaching his own business, not loving that side of things, not loving the marketing side of things. And that's when we had this brainwave to bring Chris into the business. And that was in April last year, wasn't it? So coming up to a year. Yeah, and then what's happened since then?
Oh, it's been crazy. I mean, that was a very, very whistle-stop tour. There's so much, we could be here for days. But essentially, it did all stem from that experience that we had in Peru, and we both started to understand what coaching was and taking on this journey, this amazing journey of really understanding ourselves and how we can help people. And that's sort of why we're here today. I believe is through that journey that path was designed for us, and we've sort of forged our way down it as well. So it's been amazing.
Oh, I love it, because over the last few years, I've become quite woo, and I'm very much into abundance mindset and putting out the energy you put out, you're getting back. And that's what I love about your journey as well. Exactly what you both said that in different ways, actually, that it's trusting that process, isn't it? And it sounds like let's talk about this actually, because I say about you're very high energy, high vibe, but there must have been moments along the way where you have had those doubts, or have you always trusted it?
Oh, for sure, there's been doubts. There's been so many doubts and fears and, obstacles along the way. And I think everyone faces these challenges and everyone's got something going on or something that could potentially stop them. And I think for me, it was the idea of having to go back to work. That was the thing that I just did not want to do. So that why was so powerful, that even when I was scared, to step outside my comfort zone. And I was just thinking, actually, when I was getting ready for this podcast interview, there was a time a couple of years ago where this was my worst fear, like actually coming on. Yeah. And you wouldn't ever think it, would you? But there was a time where, when I used to work in PR and marketing, we had this opportunity to go on radio leads with our clients and take them on there for this section. And people kept saying, you should go on there. And I was like, absolutely not. No way. I'd never dare do that. I'm so frightened. And then last year, I actually was interviewed on BBC Radio Leeds. And I thought, what a turnaround. Wow. You can overcome anything in life if you have a strong enough desire and a strong enough why to want to do that. And that is what we help people with all of the time. But there's been millions of blocks and challenges along the way for both of us.
Yeah. I'd say that you just need to trust yourself enough to just find a way. You're not going to fully trust yourself completely. Maybe you will, maybe you won't, but it's trusting yourself enough to know that you can get there, wherever there is. Many people don't actually know where there is, but trusting yourself to know that there is something more for you. And when the times get hard and when it gets tough, it's believing in yourself enough that you can find that way. And that's the really key thing, because when what's possible for you isn't as what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word now. Doesn't look as appealing as to moving towards the pain. That's when people give up. So if you can maintain that goal and keep that vision, and as cheesy as it sounds, if there's something there in front of you that you really, really want, you will find a way. Equally, if like Amy said, the why isn't as powerful as it could be or needs to be, people do give up. I've given up on certain things. We all give up on certain things. And when you check back into that, it's because there wasn't enough oomph behind it.
Yeah.
When you really want to do certain things in your life, such as get married, buy a house, go on holiday, you find a way. Because the emotion's there. So if you can find emotion within, you can make it happen. If you can't find the emotion, then unfortunately, it usually falls by the wayside, in our experience as well.
But it's also just that first step as well. I think so many people fixate on that end destination. They forget there's lots of little steps along the way to get to that result. And it's about enjoying that process. So overcoming a massive fear of being visible, and not being visible on social media, but being visible in front of other audiences or in front of people who I'm worried about what they might think or what they might say. That was my fear. You know, overcoming a small hurdle like that, it feels like a huge, huge win. And it is just about enjoying those steps and believing that you can do it 1% more than you believe that you can't do it, because that's when you'll have that motivation to actually continue moving forward.
Yeah, love it. And you know what, in a way, I mean, I can so relate to this because I was similar to you, that I used to be the most shy, awkward person back in the day as such. And back to the college days, I would shake and go bright red and just think, just do not look at me. So like I said, there's a process, there's a journey. And that's why I guess the work that you definitely do, even that myself does, and so many people out there are kind of like trailblazers. They're leading the way because you're here to say, look, I did it. And that's powerful, sharing that story, isn't it, of the time when you didn't want to go on radio leads and you didn't want to do all this. I mean, that's it's important, isn't it, to share it with people. So this high energy vibe that they might look at today and look at Amy and Chris, think, wow, I could never be like that. Actually, by you sharing that story, that's saying to them they can, isn't it? Is that how you find it?
Yeah, 100%. It's about getting people to say me too, not so what, and that is sharing the story. You know, there's nothing without a story.
Yeah,
it's just information, isn't it? It's just numbers or whatever it might be. It's just something on a piece of paper or an Instagram page. There has to be a story, and that's why people would want to work with you. You create an emotion, you create that bond, that relationship with people, where they want to work with you. They trust you enough, they trust themselves enough to actually go, yeah, I'm going to spend some money and invest some money in myself, and I'm going to invest it in this business and work with them and hope that they can help, they can get me there. But without all of that, without the story, there's nothing.
It's like, imagine if I just said, oh yeah, I went on the radio, it was great, I smashed it. It's like, okay, cool. And but actually sharing the fact that when you mentioned that you used to go bright red and wish that people wouldn't look at you, that was me. I would hate to have to ask someone a question or you know, put myself on show or put my hand up to ask something. If all eyes were on me, I would go bright red like a tomato. I would avoid it. Like for hours I'd be thinking about, how am I going to say this, how am I going to like start this conversation. I just build it up in my head so much. And now it's like I don't think twice about raising my hand or putting myself out there. But that was that journey and that process. And I think by sharing that, like you said, people can resonate with, I didn't just, you know, wake up one day and be born with all this confidence. It's taken a long time to get here. And I want to inspire other people and show them that that's possible for them too.
Yeah, I love it. I think we're the same person, Amy, because that was the same thing. I used to think about it for hours, like you're saying. It was ridiculous. Just that thought process, and it's hard to imagine that now. And people say, probably look at you, probably look at me, and think, I wonder if they ever think like, come on, you know, you're not exactly, you can't have always been unconfident. But actually, yeah, it's just we're doing the work, isn't it? And that's where I say the work that you do, especially the coaching side of it, comes in. But let's chat about, you know, high energy all the time. I mean, actually, what I want to chat about is your big move, because I've watched you. You've moved to Marbella first, then you've gone to Dubai, and I mean, how has that been as part of this? Because we say high energy, but that must have come with its challenges as well, or has it all just been amazing?
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of tears at one point with the whole pandemic throwing a massive spanner in the works. We've been planning to move to Spain since 2020, was it? I can't remember. And it feels like a lifetime ago. We've been planning this move. And we'd booked the tickets. It was all set, really excited. And then Spain closed the borders.
Oh, no.
And we were like, okay, great. So then we moved the date to April, and then the Spanish borders were still closed. And it's living in this limbo state where all you're thinking about is, are we moving there? Like your life feels a little bit on hold. And for me, I got very overwhelmed with this whole not knowing what was going on, like feeling really unstable because we didn't have a plan, like we didn't know what was going on. And I think this happens in life, doesn't it, with so many instances that when you don't have clarity on something, this is where the confusion, the overwhelm, the frustration, the doubts, the fears, all the negative emotions creep in. So if you don't have certainty or clarity on something, your mind freaks out.
Yeah, which you did.
Did you? I was able to... God, sorry, full on freak out.
Yeah. There was at times, you know, obviously there was still stuff going on in the country, and it wasn't an ideal situation. However, you know, looking back, we're able to learn from that and share those learnings with other people now. But it still doesn't detract from, and in the moment, you know, your emotions take over.
Yeah.
You know, we're still jumping through hoops with the Dubai part of the experience. You know, if anyone knows Dubai, the banking system here is what's the word?
Slow.
Archaic. Very backwards. not very user friendly, and so we're still we're still jumping through the hoops. We're still learning. We're still experiencing how to manage certain people. So that's been fun. But in terms of the journey, it's been incredible being able to spend some time in Spain, drive to Spain, and just
take the business there.
Yeah, take the business there and still work and do everything. You know, still growing as well. It's been amazing.
And it was really amazing because the vision when we started the business was to be able to live, work, and travel from anywhere in the world. But you know, growing a business does take time. It does take patience and dedication, and you know, we had to commit to that for a while. And then when we got into a really good position where we could go and live from anywhere in the world, we were hit by a global pandemic, which was not ideal, obviously. But then when we finally got to Spain, we appreciated it so much more because it all felt so worth it. We were able to live this incredible life in Spain, in the sunshine, serving our clients, coming up with amazing ideas. Like your creativity just explodes when you're in a new environment. And then the move to Dubai was completely random, actually. We weren't supposed to move here. It was an accident.
Yeah, it was, you know, it was purely business. Basically moving the business here was strictly business. And then again, Thailand, we were meant to go to Thailand.
They closed the
borders. So we said, but neither of us had been to Dubai before. So we said, well, shall we stay a little bit longer? We got here within about 10 minutes. We love the place. So we're here now fairly indefinitely, should I say. You know, we've got a little stint at home in a couple of weeks, but yeah, the plan is to spend more time here than not. So it's an amazing country.
I haven't been. I've only been once. It was 2006. It's a long time ago now, and it's probably massively changed. But I remember just thinking, what an up and coming, and just it's almost like it's a bit manifesting things, but it's almost like I don't know what they do. They click the fingers and it appears, doesn't it?
Yes, this is what I've been saying. Like as soon as we got here, like you can taste abundance in the air. There's success everywhere. Like everywhere you look, there is something unexpected. Like, you know, the tallest building in the world is right over the road from where we live. And I always say, if somebody can build a building higher than the sky, you can achieve literally anything in life. Like anything is possible.
That's interesting then. So has that had an effect on your mindset then? Because your mindset game is strong anyway. This is what you're all about. But has that sort of is that taking you to your next level of abundance and success?
100%. Yeah, it's raised the standards of like what we will accept, what we want. We've got to see, you know, from a coaching perspective, we've got a sea view, city view. When I'm thinking about what to say or what to ask or how to ask it, I'll be looking out to sea. And that's so inspiring. You don't even realize how much more inspiring it is than, you know, sitting where we did live, you know, which was lovely. I could see the fields. It was a lovely place, but it doesn't have the same inspiring feel as it does here, which obviously raises your vibration, raises the level of standard of quality of life that you want, and that's made us, should I say, change our goals to suit the quality of life that we want to live, and equally the service that we want to create for our clients as well. So yeah, it goes hand in hand.
And from the back of there, we've actually just achieved a goal that we've been working towards for around 18 months now. So for 18 months, we've had this goal to have a 6-figure month. And we've moved to Dubai, set this goal again to have a 6-figure month. And we did it in 30 days. I can't take full credit for the month because it was February. So it was in 30 days from the 1st of Feb to the 2nd of March. We did 100K in sales. And I 100% believe it's because we up-leveled our mindsets by being here, raising our vibrations, thinking differently, acting differently, you know, creating new healthy habits, success habits. So yeah, 100% think that Dubai has helped us to raise our game.
Wow, and pesky February, come on. I mean, that would have been a month, wouldn't it? That took 2 days off you.
Right?
Well, guess what? We get to do it again, and we get to do it within a month now. So the goal has been achieved in a way, but still not. So it's something to work towards as well. So
I like
consistent, creating that consistency.
Yeah, and an unaccomplished goal. So I like that. You're like, we will do it in that month. I mean, let's talk about that's what I want to chat about actually, about this high energy vibe. And you've already said there about, you know, I just love that idea because, you know, it is about your environment, your surroundings, your support, about raising your vibrations. I mean, let's sort of, you know, maybe share a few tips, whether you want to alternate and share 5 tips or anything really. Just, you know, your top tips for just raising your vibrations at any time, wherever you are in the world. So if you can't access Dubai, unfortunately, and look out to the sea, the sea view. What can people do just to raise it every day?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I just want to start by sharing that we are not high vibe all of the time. I think people have got this misconception of us that we just walk around literally buzzing 100% of the time. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's quite often we are walking around buzzing, but there is times where you do come across obstacles and challenges like we've spoken about before. And last year we were faced with so many challenges, so many obstacles, but it is about having that resilient mindset that you've got the tools and you've got the techniques in your toolkit, should we say, to bring yourself back when you are going through a little bit of a wobble or a low vibe. You get to decide how long you are willing to stay in this low frequency. Like, I don't know about you, but I love being high energy. I love being high vibe. I love being happy and positive because life feels better there. So if I am feeling a little bit crap, why would I want to stay there? I want to do it as much as I can, as quickly as I can to get me back into that high vibrational state. And for me, number one tip is gratitude. All day, every day, like thinking about the things that you are grateful for. And it could be something so simple like going to the tap and turning on the water, like you've got clean water to drink, or when you need to charge your phone or put the light on or put the heating on, you can do that. You've got access to an abundance of electricity at the flick of a button. Yeah. And just gratitude for the tiniest things. That I go outside in nature and it's sunny or it's windy, I just feel the abundance of whatever weather's going on at the time, whether it's rain or snow, wind, sunshine. There's an abundance of this incredible, like, just nature is amazing, and just go and feel all these feelings of gratitude, and that always raises my vibration. So that's my number one tip.
Love it. Chris, over to you. We'll just do this a bit until we realize them. This could be a game.
Yeah, I'm just gonna drop on the back of what Amy said there, and with this high vibe, which is obviously really important, but it's being able to dig in when the times get tough.
Yeah.
What I've noticed, and what certainly working with hundreds of people and with myself as well, we all do the the mindset work, meditation, journaling, all that great stuff when things are good. And then when the chips are down, everyone just stops that, starts eating the wrong food, stops exercising, and doing all the things that are actually harmful for you.
Yeah.
So it's what you do when the times are hard is the really important thing, because when things are going great, you don't really need to meditate. You don't really need to journal.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh yeah, everything's lovely, do all this stuff. But then when you've had a bad day, or somebody says no, or whatever's gone on, we forget, we stop doing the things that we actually really need. But for me, it's consistency in the things that you do that work when the times are hard. Because when the times are hard, you want to have a different breakfast, you want to have milk in your coffee if you don't have milk normally, you want to eat the
full dairy milk chocolate bar.
You want to do all the stuff that's actually going to give you some instant gratification, and it comes to that gratitude, doesn't it? Gratification. So for me, it's actually maintaining what you do when it's tough, because that's when it's really important, and that's when you build that resilience, that mindset, that you can get out of the hole that you may have been dropped in, or you may have stepped in yourself.
I love that. And so I suppose we're reframing. Actually, I probably should ask the question a little bit different. So rather than it being how do you stay high vibe, it's more about, like, say, being able to get back up to that when you're in that low vibe territory. And I suppose what you're saying there, Chris, it's almost that self-awareness, isn't it, of noticing when your vibrations are declining and then picking it back up. I guess that's more the thing, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah, and we always say, like, what are you not doing? So when you start to feel your vibrations lowering, or you're starting to feel yourself slipping into a negative mindset, it's like, what are you not doing now that you usually do when you're feeling really, really good? See, habits can slip so easily and quickly. Like, if you're someone that goes for a walk every morning, does your 10 minutes journaling, has a healthy breakfast, and then you stop going for a walk in the morning and you notice yourself start to slip in more into a negative mindset, and you think, oh, what have I stopped doing? I've stopped going for my morning walk. That used to make me feel amazing. It used to make me feel so alive. I had all these amazing ideas on that walk, and I've stopped doing it. Like, why? Like, they're the things. It's like being aware of what you're not doing.
Yes.
Yeah. So important. So important. And just thinking about that experience and the things that you don't do is critical, because like Amy said, it's so subtle. Are you having straight on a coffee instead of having water?
Straight on your phone?
Yeah, straight on your phone. Going through this launch that, we've just had a big launch. Amazing. That was I did so many calls. I was having a lot of physio on my well, basically whole body, from not looking after it in the way I should have done over the last few years. And now I went on a real roller coaster, doing so many calls, back-to-back calls, which I've learned from. And really being at a top energy, because when you're speaking to people and, you know, in an environment, a sales environment or a coach environment, it's incredibly energizing in terms of the transaction. So I was super aware of my energies over that period of time, and you do slip out of certain things, and it affects the result. I noticed it. I've been able to look at it and go, what happened that day? You know, I've been for physio, this, that, and the other, and I was able to look at why things didn't quite go to plan.
The sales are down. Basically, you could probably see, literally.
See, it's quite clearly obvious. You know, I was in pain. I was having dry needling. If anyone knows what dry needling, it's wonderful.
Oh, it's intense.
But after the event, it's a really intense experience. But it's fixing me. It's healing me. So there's a lot of things that were going on that had to happen. But then you've got 9 calls in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got to be on point with everything you do. So it is really, really important is knowing what works. Because you could have a 2-hour morning routine, but actually if that 5-minute meditation is the one thing that gets you there, maybe you need to drop that in midday and at night or whatever you do. So it's finding out what works. And people used to say to me, what should I do for a morning routine? I said, well, how do you want to feel?
Yeah.
Do you want to be energized? Do you want to be calm? Do you want to be pumped up?
Yeah.
Very different things. And the way that you do them, the syntax, the order in which you do them affects the result. If I journal before I meditate or I meditate before I journal, very different experience. So we would reverse engineer a morning routine to actually help the person actually feel how they want to feel.
Yeah.
Now, you wouldn't do a 20-minute hit if you want to feel really calm. Would you? You'd do like yin yoga, a really chilled out meditation. Equally, if you were going on a big day out, really excited, you might want to do the HIIT workout or a run. So it's really becoming super aware of actually how you want to feel and what energy you want to operate in. Because again, there's high vibe, could be a 10 out of 10 of energy, but in a really caring way.
Ooh, I like that.
It doesn't have to be, you know, high vibe doesn't mean to be jumping around like a lunatic.
Bouncing off the walls.
It could be, I'm 10 out of 10 in a really compassionate kind of way.
Yeah.
And when you're a 10 out of 10 in compassionate, caring, you're able to serve people at a really high level.
Ooh, yeah.
Again, empathic, caring, energized, honest. there's a million and one emotions that you can be in, or states that you can be in, that allow you to serve that person again at the level or the area that they need to be served in. Again, if I jump on a call and I'm buzzing and the other person isn't, that's not going to help them.
It's not going to work.
So I come down to their level and get in their head and understand where they are, and then I can then direct them into a better energy. But you know, you've got to be, certainly in coaching, you've got to be really, really, really aware of where that person is, and then work with that.
Oh, I love that.
I went off topic a little bit, but
no.
Round robin.
Oh, I'm the queen of rambling. I go off in all directions, and that's in a way why I changed this podcast to Conversations with Carly. So it just gives permission to talk about anything, basically. I'm like, it's going to go that way anyway, so let's just have it in random conversations. But no, I love that, and I think what's come from that, just from what you said there, Chris, and Amy, you were saying this as well, and my own experience, people can get sucked into that whole idea of, I can't say all, well, I cannot say that word, whole idea of... You know, like the 5 a.m. club, or how other people get into that vibe, and people start to compare, don't they? And what I'm picking up there is it's deciding what works for you, isn't it? It's what makes you feel that energy and what you need at that time.
Yeah. And some people, a morning routine just doesn't work for them. You know, like, and I always say to people, if that's the case, like, where in your day can you make sure that you are spending some time on yourself? Like, it doesn't have to be an hour and a half morning routine, because not everyone's got that time in the morning, but it might just be having 5 minutes of gratitude when you first wake up in bed, or when you wait for the kettle to boil, or when you're in the shower. Like, you can always find a way to fit something into your day to make it work for you.
Yeah, I love that. And Joe, that's something that I used to almost fight against. That I think I got really frustrated with the online space when I first kind of came into that online business world, because people, you know, especially you get some people who will drill that in. That is the only way. The 5 a.m. club, it's the only way. And it makes you feel a little bit, a bit like, oh, not good enough. Because I was there with 3 children going, I don't have time to get up to 2 hours and do journaling. And, have you read the book, actually, The Morning Miracle? Is it? Have you read
I
that
haven't
book?
read it, but I know the concept of it.
Yeah, and that sounds amazing. I remember reading, I think I read about 10 pages and then gave up because I just felt that negative low vibe thinking, I can't commit to that. So I'm loving what you're saying there. And that's obviously your vibe as well, of telling other people that, yeah, do it your way. It makes the difference, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's like at the end of the day, it's all based on how you want to feel that day. So if you're then already feeling overwhelmed and behind and not good enough because you can't keep up to morning routine, that defeats the whole object of doing it in the first place.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Suddenly you've gone into it high energy, you've come out of it low energy because you're thinking, I can't do it.
Oh, well, I failed at that now. I'll fail all day. So actually having these super long morning routines just doesn't work for everybody. And, we always say that there is no one way to do anything. Like there's so many different ways, so many different roads, so many different options for people. It's about finding the way that works for you.
Yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, though, just if I can.
Go on.
And do what you need to do to achieve what you want.
Yes.
That's it. If you need to be up at 4 a.m. and you're so focused on achieving this thing, then that's what you've got to do. You've got a choice.
Yeah.
You can, or you don't have to. I used to be up at 4:45. I had a client who used to get up at 4 a.m. to work on the business before he went to work.
Wow.
If it's really what you want, you will find a way. I found that sleeping 6 hours a night was really optimal for me at some point. So it's just how much you want to achieve what you want. Doesn't it? It really does come down to that. Can you learn to sleep less? What are you doing that's maybe not working? This is going back to like how I started, all this stuff. So it comes back to really what you want. And we found that we do what we need to do to achieve the result. So yesterday we did an hour, 2 hours work. Saturday we did a little bit. So we're always doing something to get us towards the goal. We could have said, no, we're having the weekend off. Yeah. But that wouldn't have helped us today. Yeah,
because on Friday, we're going to the Formula One, the first race of Formula One in Bahrain. So we're off Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we've just entered into a launch. Like today's the first day of the opt-in. So we had a few bits that needed to be done. We're not saying we always do it, but if something needs to be done, then we will do it.
I love that.
Finding that sweet spot, what works for you. Really.
Yeah, and I love that, and I think that's very much an entrepreneur mindset because some people don't always get it, and maybe this is what we'll chat about in a second. I think it's important to be in the right space with the right people that do get it, because I probably had bits of resistance because I'm the opposite. I'm not very much a morning person, but I can work till late, and to other people that might look like, well, that's your time, you shouldn't be working that late. I think there's a lot of guilt around it, isn't there, with entrepreneurs? It's almost like you shouldn't be working, you shouldn't put the time in, hustle culture. But actually, like you say, sometimes it's needs must. And that's the way I do it. It's not the morning, but I'll probably do some in the evening. And that's okay, isn't it, if you do need to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like, again, like what we just said, it needs to work for you. And if it means working late nights, like it's not going to be forever. It's probably just for a short space of time. And, we love helping people to launch, and launching has got such a bad reputation in this online space. Like it's overwhelming, it's stressful, it leads to burnout, it's exhausting, all these things. But it's not if you've got a strategy that works for you. And as well, I always think that launching, yes, it's a lot of work in a short space of time, but what's worse or what's better, working a lot in a short space of time and then reaping the rewards, or constantly on this hamster wheel of wanting the success, but nothing's working. And then you're just on this cycle forever. Like, in my opinion, it's better to do a short space of time, like hard work, dedication, to then reap the rewards afterwards.
Yeah, I love that. And you know, something actually that I'll link on to both of you as well is the successes in, again, I find that a lot of people look at that and the whole mindset of you shouldn't work as much, you outsource when you can. But that's, people looking right at the beginning, that's going to feel really overwhelming, isn't it? And yet to get to the point where you can hire a team and you can take a back seat, that's a great place to get to. But I can imagine people at the beginning, and certainly I did, again, looking and thinking that is just really overwhelming and I have to do it all. But which steps did you take to get there? Because I know you've got a team, and actually something, I'm asking so many questions in one go. You've got a good memory, Amy and Chris. Quick, you've got them. I do this. I feel like I'm a BBC presenter who asks about 10 questions at once. But Amy, you took recently, I remember seeing this in social media where you taken a back seat, and then you actually went back in, didn't you? There's something, I can't quite remember, where you felt like you'd taken too much of a step. So let's talk about that, the outsourcing part, and then how you get that balance right, because you didn't quite feel it, did you?
Yeah, so that's interesting actually, because basically back in 2020, before Chris joined the team, you know, we were maxed out with clients, we had loads of programs running, and I couldn't physically do everything by myself. It was impossible. We had running a multi-six-figure business. I couldn't do everything. So I outsourced a lot. In hindsight, probably outsourced too much, because actually I outsourced the stuff that I really, really love doing. So marketing, you know, at the time, I just wasn't actually able to create so much content and keep putting it out there because I was busy serving clients. But as the team's grown and we've hired more coaches, like Chris joined the business, he does all of the sales calls, he does the majority of the coaching. We've got other coaches that work for us. I found myself just a little bit lost and confused, like, what's my role in all this? I've built this amazing company and I love working. And I think, like you were saying, actually, it gets a bad rep in this online space, like, you know, just work 2 hours a day. I don't want to just work 2 hours a day. Like, I'd be bored out of my brains. I like working and I like doing the doing. And I think that might be partly because of my human design as well. I'm a generator. I love doing the doing. I'm a Capricorn as well, like lots of high energy. And I found myself thinking, why have I given all this work out when I actually love doing that? I love connecting with the audience. I love creating the content, having these conversations, building these connections. So we made a big decision to actually take a massive step back on, you know, some of the marketing. We had a PR team that were doing a lot of PR work for us, took a step back from that as well. Like, there were so many things that we've taken back in-house, and I've never been happier. Like, I'm fully thriving. I'm absolutely loving the work that we're doing. And I can tell with the conversation and the leads that are coming in that I'm back in my zone of genius. So sometimes outsourcing is fantastic to solve a problem. The problem was I didn't have enough time, but then I did have enough time. So why outsource the stuff that I actually love doing?
Yeah, that's interesting. So you became, you were excited. I saw so much that you just felt like you weren't as connected to your business anymore. That your little baby that you'd set up, and you're thinking, actually, where's my role?
I was so lost and confused, and it was a big conversation that we had, wasn't it? Because, you know, what are people going to think if then I've taken back on the marketing? Like, are people going to judge us or think we're not doing very well, or all these crazy ideas that come up? But actually, why not take it back on if that's the thing that you actually love to do?
And I love that. And that's back to that being real and sharing your journey, isn't it? We've gone full circle there. But what I'd love to ask Chris, actually. So, Chris, I'll bring you back into it. I feel like we've gone up from one there.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We'll just have a chat. Chris, go on a big brew. No, bring you back into it, because I'd love to know how you felt. Just what I said there, actually, Amy, this was your brainchild, this was your baby. So how did that feel, Chris? Because this might be something that people do sort of collaborate and people do come on board. How did it feel stepping into that? You know, did you feel like it was I don't know, just how you made yourself comfortable and part of the team?
Oh yeah, I mean,
he has been there since day one, though.
I was. I mean, obviously, I was there right at the start. You know, the start of the journey. I've always been part of it. When we did the ceremony, the San Pedro ceremony, we didn't know what coaching was. We'd never heard of Tony Robbins. All this stuff.
Wow.
All started happening. We met loads of coaches that were at the retreat place. It was all just colliding, shamans, psychics, you name it. Everyone was there.
Yeah.
And that almost set the tone for the next, till now and beyond.
4.5 years.
Yeah, 4.5 years. So for me coming in, I decided to become a coach the end of 2018, I believe. Yeah. And then I did my NLP and all that stuff. And then sort of started like doing a little bit of coaching within Social Cactus. So I already had a feel for it. And when we had the conversation, I was like, yeah, bring me in. You know, I'd done really, really well. I'd had some really great months and a great year in my business, but I didn't really know where I was going. I didn't have quite the clarity that I needed. Yeah. And then we had some big conversations, and then it was just like, yeah, let's do it. So just jumped straight in. I mean, I don't mess about really.
I love it.
You did like to take over.
I do. I get involved. I get, I'm getting excited. So I probably did take over a little bit, but I did. I jumped in.
I love it. It's like,
yeah. But now we've played this game really of, I do most of the I literally coach all the one-to-ones, and I'm in all the programs. So I do all the coaching with other coaches.
He coaches every client in some way.
Yeah, and I've sold every client into every program. So built that amazing relationship with people whilst, Amy's managing the leads. The leads and obviously the VIP program as well. So it's just worked really, really well. I feel that we just stepped in and we've made it work. We've made a lot of changes I think going back to where we are, last year was sort of, it was what it was.
Yeah.
Until we said right at the start of September, October, when we started to think about things differently, we want the business running really as well as it can be from January onwards. And now the programs that we've set up is brilliant. There's going to be some amazing changes coming in the near future. And we know that to get out to our goals, we need to expand and grow again. But just in a different way.
Yeah. And I think, like Chris said, he has always been involved. Like, he's seen me growing the business, and he's always been there to support and, you know, bounce ideas around with it. So it does feel like he has always been a part of it. And when he had his coaching business, where I used to pay Chris to come in and do some guest coaching inside our group programs and masterminds, and it all just naturally evolved. And last year we had this massive goal within the business, but because there was so many changes going on, we took a step back and we really focused on building out those foundations, because there was a lot happening. There was a lot of changes going on. So we wanted to make sure that we were setting off this year on the absolute best foot, and that we had these foundations in place, that we got our messaging on point, because, you know, with change comes confusion for the audience as well. So we need to make sure that everything we were saying was back in alignment. And I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, we did bring the marketing back in, because we were going through so many changes as well, that the message then was getting more diluted, because we weren't that clear on what we were doing, because it was all new to us. So then trying to pass that on, it just became a bit confusing for everybody. So now we're so clear in what we're doing. We're so clear in the direction. We're on a really good path. Like, as we've said, we've had our best month ever. So I think the proof is in the pudding, really. When you do take that step back, work on the foundations, then you'll reap the rewards.
Yeah, absolutely love it. Well, whilst we're on that subject then, we'll start to wrap things up, but what I want to ask as well, what I was probably thinking on top of that is, I love that it's been like quite a natural transition. You can tell that you're so in tune with each other. It's just amazing to watch your journey, I guess. But how did it feel from, you know, I'm all about personal branding as well. How did it feel from that point of view, suddenly being the face of it, Chris, you know, to come into it from when you were a little bit in the background? Was that quite natural for you, or did that feel different?
I remember when I can't remember. We were going to a Tony Robbins event, and Amy was doing stories, and I used to like take the mick out of her. I won't swear. And you know, I just didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I thought it was a lot of crap, to be honest. That's me being totally honest. At the time, I thought just like, what is going on? All this stuff, and then I started to understand it. And you know, I started doing lives and trainings and workshops and all that stuff, presenting. I've done like some live in-person stuff, and that took me on that journey. And obviously then coming into Social Cactus, a lot of people knew me anyway, but not in that sense. So whilst I'm behind the scenes, I'm the first person that they speak to face to face, you know, whether it's on Zoom or whatever. So we had to tread very carefully and be aware of the situation. A guy coming into a fairly female-led environment, or certainly in Social Cactus world anyway. So we were very conscientious of what we did, what we said, and how we did it in terms of preparing people. The customer journey, and preparing people for me, not Amy or someone else. And as we've grown and brought other coaches in, you know, that's a whole new ball game and story that we've still not cracked, because it's interesting, and we're certainly on the way, but there's always things to learn, and you know, we're learning from our coaches and things like that. So
it has been a transition and a lot of trial and error and experimenting. And you know, we had a different idea when Chris first joined the business to have him a lot more as the face of the business, but it was just quite tricky to get that message out there. So I've kind of taken back over as the face of the business with Chris. Everyone knows that Chris is involved, and you know, I'm the one that's doing more of the marketing, the lead gen, the showing up. But you know, today we did a joint live together, and it was fantastic. And the launch that we've just done, Chris and I hosted that together, and you know, we're just creating right now a brand new group program where both of us will be delivering the trainings on there. So you know, we're still working on it. We're still experimenting and finding the best way, but that's just business, isn't it? Like, you've never got it 100% nailed. There's always something new. There's always something like new strategy to try or new idea. So yeah, we're still figuring it out, but it's going well.
Aren't we all? I think we're all just figuring it out. There's a song, isn't there? I'm sure there's a song with that line, but it's just trial and error. And I just love that you, like I say, you're very honest, you're sharing your journey. And even that, you know, just thank you for sharing that, because some people would gloss over it. And you see that with the bigger gurus, don't you? It's hard to relate sometimes. And I think you two are both just really relatable. And yeah, that kind of rounds it up actually. But are there any like top tips you want to share as part of this process, part of the journey to share?
I was just going back to that actually. I learned this when I worked in construction. And I was a site manager, engineer, project manager. And one of the things I always used to say to people, as long as you're figuring it out quicker than somebody else, people will trust, believe you, because you'll be able to help them. So you'll look like a superstar. You know, when I'm working with other people, I was like, okay, right, let's figure it out. And I'd figure it out and then let you be the leader. So in coaching, sales, you need to lead people to a certain place.
Yes.
Whether it's a sale or whether that's to a result or a breakthrough or whatever it might be. So if you can be the leader or become the leader and figure things out quicker than other people, which basically when you're coaching, for me, is finding out what to ask or how to ask it or what to say or whatever it might be. So it's all the same. It's just leadership. So if you can figure it out quicker than somebody else, then you're going to be in a good place.
Yeah, it's that saying, isn't it? You just need to be 2 steps ahead of the other person. And that's it. You don't need to. And that's why we're always so open and honest, because, you know, I see people online who are sharing all these amazing successes and they're not sharing the challenges that they had to face to get there. You know, they're making it look so easy. And we know that that's not true. That's not real life. And it creates this false expectation on people. It makes people then feel they're not good enough when they're not seeing results so quickly. So we always want to share the struggles, the challenges, and the good times as well, to show you that it is, you're going to experience all the things and it's completely normal.
But share the scar, not the wound.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that saying.
Share the scar, not the wound, because no one's bothered about you in the journey. You're not helping anyone. Once you've got through it and out the other side, then you can look back, share it and share what you learn. But being in it, it's all nothing's going right. No one, it's not going to help anyone. It just gives people permission to just be like that. But if you've come through the other side and said, this is what was happening, this is how I dealt with it, this is some of the experiences and feelings that I had, it's so much more powerful. So
there's a saying, is another saying, I like my sayings, something about being the light, is it having the torch and holding it for other people and guiding them, and I can't remember what that saying is, but it's powerful. And just what you're saying there, it's that, isn't it? Lead them. Just lead them.
That's it.
Lead yourself and then lead other people, and you can't go wrong. If you can do that, then everything's good. Love
it. Well, that's a perfect place, I think, to leave it. And just thank you so much. I love your journey. I love your apartment. Is it an apartment? It's not. It's an apartment.
It's an apartment. Yes.
It's beautiful. Anyone on the podcast can't see it, go on YouTube and check it out, because that's just worth it in itself. It's just a gorgeous. I love my interior design. But you know, just your huge congrats on your big move. Any links we'll put in the show notes. So do everybody go and check out Amy and Chris's journey and offerings. And just any questions, come and find any of us and we'll talk it all through. But thank you so much, Amy and Chris.
Thank
you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. Really
my absolute pleasure. See you soon.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.